Hey guys, today I'm sharing a recipe video for blueberry oatmeal muffins. It's a slight variation of one that I found online. I will link the original recipe in the description box below. I would definitely recommend checking out that site if you want to follow more of the proper baking techniques. I am totally aware that the method I show in this video is a bit rushed and oversimplified, but in my opinion, the amount of time and dishes that I save more than makes up for any difference in texture or taste. But I do always find these muffins to be super moist and nutritious, and best of all, toddler approved. So I'm going to start off by adding about 3/4 cup of milk into my little blender bottle. Oops, I almost forgot to mention this, but if you are using fresh instead of frozen blueberries, then you might want to use about a cup of milk, which is what the original recipe calls for. Because I tend to use frozen, I do reduce the milk a little bit, so I end up using 3/4 of a cup, but I just wanted to make sure to note that in case you are using fresh blueberries. Okay, back to the video. Then I add in about 1 teaspoon of chia seeds. Now, chia seeds are super tiny, but they are actually one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. They are loaded with antioxidants, protein, and fiber. They also have the ability to absorb liquids when soaked. That gives it a more thick, gel-like texture. So I also add that into the mix. I'm also going to add in about 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, another great thing about this recipe is that it doesn't have any white sugar. So to sweeten it, I add in about a half a cup of honey. Next, I'm going to add in about 1 cup of frozen blueberries. You could definitely use fresh too. Frozen is just usually what I have on hand. I can't seem to keep blueberries fresh in my fridge or use them fast enough. So I tend to feel like the frozen ones are super convenient. Now, because I have read that it is better to consume chia seeds after they have fully expanded rather than in the raw form, I actually tend to let this mixture sit overnight. I also leave out 1 stick, which is about a half a cup of unsalted butter, to soften overnight as well. But you could totally skip that step and just melt it and cool it slightly before mixing it in the next day. I've done it that way too, it works either way. And in a separate mixing bowl, I'm dumping in the dry ingredients. So I start with 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Next, I'm going to add in a cup of old-fashioned oats. And to spice it up a little bit, I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, one-half teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I go ahead and mix all this together the night before too, so the next morning it comes together really fast. And actually, the reason that I blend this up until everything is incorporated is solely because my toddler will try to pick out the blueberries anytime he can see them in any pancake or muffin or anything. So this is really the only way I can incorporate blueberries into his diet. So now I'm going to combine 1 large egg with the stick of butter. And again, you guys are going to see me using my blender bottle instead of getting a separate bowl, just because I'm really trying to avoid one more dish. Then I go ahead and mix all of the wet ingredients together, and I sort of slowly mix in the dry. I know I was really pushing it with the size of this mixing bowl. I was just trying to avoid dishes, you guys. I hate doing dishes. And I actually let that mixture sit while my oven is preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Oops, I almost forgot to mention this as well. It may seem a little bit odd to let this mixture sit while the oven is preheating, but part of the reason that I do let this sit for about 10 minutes or so is because it gives the oats a chance to absorb some of the liquid, and that way in the final product the oats don't end up coming out dry or hard. Okay, back to the video. And once my oven is ready, I go ahead and grease my muffin pan with some nonstick spray and fill it with the mixture. And I usually find that I have to bake this for about 22 minutes, but you can just check and see when a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now, the great thing about this recipe is that it also is it freezes really well too. So a lot of times I just keep some stored away in the freezer for an easy snack, and I tend to pop them into a little toaster oven because I feel like they taste really good when they're warmed up. So I hope you guys like this recipe, and maybe if you have some little ones who can be picky about blueberries, hopefully this recipe might do the trick like it did for my son. And I really hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and thank you so much for watching.